catfight on the set. Why the idea of a juicy feud among women is always an irresistible Hollywood story. Ryan Murphy deciding to delve into the tortured relationship between Bette Davis and Joan Crawford might have seemed random at first glance. But really, he could have pitched that idea anytime, next month, 10 years ago, 10 years from now, and been perfectly in sync with what audiences are always in the mood to see. There's just something about two, or more, women at odds with each other that proves irresistible every time. The interest, revived for some but new to most, in a 55-year-old beef between Crawford and Davis, brought back to life on Murphy's Feud via Jessica Lange and Susan Sarandon, is actually just a fresh chapter in a book that's only going to get longer. Feud in its entirety shines a spotlight on what women, particularly ones of a certain age, were dealing with in 1960s Hollywood, which is what they dealt with in 1950s-era Hollywood, and 40s-era, etc. And while there was animosity between Davis and Crawford, both two of the biggest stars of their day and forever linked to the golden age of movie making, the series points out how much insecurity and fear of becoming completely irrelevant was driving both of them. Davis was only 12 years removed from starring in All About Eve, still one of the greatest movies of all time, when she shot Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. The title itself an eerie illusion in hindsight for both of its Oscar-winning leading ladies. Davis was also only 54 in 1962 and Crawford was 56, considering Meryl Streep is 67 and upon her head still sits the crown. We can all be glad this is a different time. But what hasn't changed a whit is the unmistakable tendency to pit women against each other, however loosely based in fact. However, we're not going to say that women don't feud or that they don't feud more than men, although the interest in lady feuds is so outsized, who knows how many man feuds we've missed out on. And with regard to how much men don't get along with each other, women tend to spar more emotionally, purposefully and/or ostentatiously, therefore word might get around more when it does happen. Yet there's a sociological explanation for women stealing all the thunder when it comes to reports of disquiet on the set. Every Hollywood set, every office, every classroom, every business opportunity, every voting booth is a place that had to evolve from its beginnings as being the domain of men. Women worked their way into places of power eventually but painstakingly, so the idea that there were fewer opportunities for women and therefore a greater need to elbow each other out of the way was an unfortunate mythos that took hold eons ago. So, instead of the propping each other up that's all the rage now, and that has historically been the bedrock of the most important social movements over the years, women were once mainly shoehorned into being competitive and suspicious of each other. And that's the deep-rooted culture that every woman has been born into since, though it's less likely now that it will actually color her interactions with her fellow females in that way. The confidence to have each other's backs and be more appreciative of each other's gifts is, slowly but surely, becoming the norm. But while the realization that women are stronger together is increasingly more prevalent, that hasn't ended the fascination with women fighting with each other, whether it's Bette versus Joan or Nicki Minaj versus Remy Ma. There's the prurient allure of the catfight in some cases, the stereotypical male fantasy that two women are going to get so incensed with each other that they start rolling around and clawing each other's clothes off. But with full-on physical throwdowns not all that likely outside of a reality show or a soap opera, it's apparently still just that easy to believe that women don't get along, or that if they do have a momentary spat, that it means they actually have an intense dislike for each other. No woman can just get angry and then get over it, right? As if men have cornered the market on such enlightenment. A relatively few amount of times the animosity has been real. For instance, Shannen Doherty and Jenny Garth had some rough moments on the set of Beverly Hills 90210 and Tori Spelling did admit years later to encouraging dad Aaron Spelling to fire Shannen, confirming decades of speculation. Alas, the difficult tag that's so tough for a woman to shed stuck to Doherty, clouding her years on Charmed, too.